Okay. Except for Becky and me as we kind of MC this event. We are going to be running through a number of things this afternoon. We had the Love Poetry Contest, which many of you entered this year, up to 2 poems allowed per entrant. The Love Poetry Contest started in 2004 by Benicia's first poet laureate, Joel Fallon. And originally the contest was called for poems based on the historic Benicia love affair between Concepcion Arguello and Nikolai Rezanov. Over the years, the focus of the contest has expanded. And for the past couple of years, we have been actively encouraging poets to write on all aspects and facets of love. And we've received poems on love of family, love of friends, love of a lover, love of country, love of earth, love of an animal companion, love lost, love found, love ruined, and love sought. So all of those things are part of the content of the love poems that have come in. So today we will have the awards announced from that contest. And as we go into the awards, we will be awarding several honorable mentions, and also we will be awarding a first, second, and third place award. Those, when that part of the program happens, we will have a slideshow that will reveal the name of the award-winning poem and the author. And then we will spotlight the poet who has entered that poem, and she or he will then have the opportunity to read that poem. So we will be doing that. And then after the awarding of awards, we will go ahead and have the open mic with more love poems. And we won't have a slideshow background for that, but we will have the poet who is reading spotlighted. So if you put yourself on gallery view, you can see people around the edges, and then the spotlighted person is front and center on your screen, as I am now, much to my dismay, but there it is. Okay. The wonderful thing about the Love Poetry Contest is that we really have been able to lift up what the power of love means in all of our lives. And this year we used as our thematic focus, as we were drawing in poems for the contest, some words by Joy Harjo, who is the current US Poet Laureate. And she had written, "Bless the poets, the workers for justice, the dancers of ceremony, the singers of heartache, the visionaries, all makers and carriers of fresh meaning. We will all make it through, despite politics and wars, despite failures and misunderstandings. There is only love." And I think that's kind of what our spirit was as we began this year's Love Poetry Contest, and as we go into this year's Love Poetry Celebration. So we will now hear from Becky Bishop-White, who has been the stalwart coordinator of submissions for the contest, and without whom we would not have been at all organized. Becky.
Thank you, Mary Susan, and hello, everybody. I hope I will have more than one judge to introduce soon, but I'm going to start out with a little bit of an overview of the contest itself and what transpired during the submission process. The 2022 submissions to the Benicia Love Poetry Contest were not free of references to the pandemic, of course. Love is affected by everything in our lives, both the big things and the little ones. And COVID has been a very big thing indeed. Today, you will hear of myriad situations and feelings that cause our hearts to soar to the heights and dive to the depths, expressed in words. This year, 110 qualified entries were submitted from all corners of the USA. As in prior years, the poems gave insights to an incredible variety on all aspects of love. The judges had difficult decisions to make. Speaking of judges, it was inspiring to witness our judges' discussion, collaboration, and care with which the winning poems and honorable mentions were selected. Two of our judges from last year enjoyed the experience so much, they returned to judge this year's entries. So where are we with our judges, by the way?
I believe that Rosalie has arrived and Patricia is here, and we are waiting for judge number 3.
All right. Well, if Rosalie is here,
Yeah.
I can begin by introducing her. So returning this year, and first to be introduced is Rosalie Petruski. Rosalie Sonara Petruski was born and raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we have this there on the screen. Good, that's good. And let's see, she's lived between both Lakes Michigan and Superior. She is a professor of writing at Lansing Community College in Lansing, Michigan. She was one of the 5 finalists for the distinction of Upper Peninsula Poet Laureate in 2021, and a finalist for Lansing, Michigan Poet Laureate in 2022. She was also a finalist in the 2020 Jack Grapes Poetry Prize, sponsored by Cultural Weekly. She is a noted photographer, essayist, and the author of 3 books of poetry, most recently, What We Keep, published by Finishing Line Press. Recently, her essays have appeared in the Still Point Arts Quarterly, My Deep Love of Love. And that was that issue. And online at the Woodcat Review. And her poetry has appeared in the Blue Mountain Review online. Images of the natural world are prominent throughout Rosalie's work as she stays true to the teaching of her Ojibwe father, who taught her how to provide careful stewardship and to always honor her surrounding environment, whether a woodland or an urban landscape. So without further ado, there we go with Rosalie. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And Patricia is here, I know. She appeared earlier on the screen. So the next judge I will introduce, also a returnee, Patricia Threshardt. Patricia Threshardt describes herself as a writer and poet living in the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains, just outside of Cook Forest State Park in Pennsylvania. The beauty of Northern Appalachia and its forests inform her poetry. To paraphrase Patricia, a poet writes to satisfy a need to express emotion or document life. If reading of any of my poems creates in the reader a sense of gratitude, awareness, or an appreciation of the beauty of our natural world, then I can consider my effort to be worthwhile. Patricia is the author of 4 poetry books. The most recent, published by Mammoth Books, is titled Inspired by Their Voices, Poems from Underground Railroad Testimonies. Patricia also writes narrative nonfiction books that explore the lives of historical women whose stories have been lost to time. The first, Cursed, The Life and Tragic Death of Marion Alsobrook Stallman, was published in December 2021 by Adelaide Books. And welcome to Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good to have you. And Amos is here too.
Yay. All right. So Amos. Thirdly, I will introduce our contest judge, Amos White. Amos White lives in Alameda, California. Amos is an award-winning writer and poet, particularly noted for his skill in haiku. He was a finalist in the NPR National Cherry Blossom Haiku Contest 2013. He is author of The Sound of the Web, Haiku and Poetry on Facebook and Twitter. His works can be found in the Wittenberg Review, Oakland Review, Bones Journal, San Francisco Bayview, Area 17, and World Haiku Association Anthology, and in many other publications. Amos served on several literary and arts nonprofit boards, is founder and host of The Heart of the Muse, a creative salon, and founder and producer of Beyond Words, Jazz Plus Poetry show at the California Jazz Conservatory in Berkeley. In addition to his literary accomplishments, Amos is founder of 100,000 Trees for Humanity, a tree planting nonprofit, and he is a father and a husband. Amos reads and performs his multimedia poetry worldwide. Italy is a second home to him. And welcome to Amos. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
And for judging all the work that all three of you had done.
And one of the marvelous things about working on this contest and celebration has been working with these three judges. They were all, well, on the one hand, each of them was an extremely thoughtful and careful reader of the 110 poems we sent to them. And I think I speak for both Becky and me that being in on their conversation when they decided on the awards was just an exciting experience for anyone who loves poetry, just to hear their analysis, their impressions, the way they worked with each other to decide, who do we give these awards to? And there was the affirmation by each of them that these are all stupendous poems, all 110 of them. And it was hard to make decisions, but decisions were made. And so we are going to go now to the award portion of the program. We will begin by announcing the winners of the honorable mentions. Now, the honorable mentions are not going to be presented in any kind of order. They were not ranked. So we will just go ahead with how we thought we could put them together. And when I call the name, or when you see the slide with your poem and your name on it, be aware that you are being called upon to unmute, and we will then spotlight you as an award-winning poet, and you will read the award-winning poem. I have to emphasize that because the awards are to the poems, not to the poets, so that you may have submitted 2 poems, but one of them might be the only award winner. Who knows? All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. We will hear first honorable mention for this afternoon. And that poem is, I'm waiting for the slide. There it is. Honorable mention to Phoebe for Scarlett by Mary Eichbauer. Mary, congratulations. And would you read us your poem?
Thank you so much, Mary Susan, and thank you to the judges. Phoebe for Scarlett. Because I love you, and because there is a Phoebe outside my window, I must turn to watch the flip and flutter of his shy plumes, listen to his flittering song, because he reminds me of you, your boundless energy, your sweet innocence, the way your voice pipes, Mimi, your name for me. And when you take the puzzle of an owl, when you put the owl's eyes on your face, the owl's wings on your hands, for a moment you become bird, essence of life, of flight, pure delight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the Phoebes. All right, we'll go on to our next honorable mention. And that is Love Song by Allegra Silverstein. And I didn't see whether Allegra is here. If she is, okay, I'm not getting anything. So I will go ahead and read that poem. So this is Love Song by Allegra Silverstein. In some other galaxy, my love will not be shy. It will ripple out like persimmon glow in the darkening sky, and I will hold you close like a remembered poem, and only let you go when the deep forest calls you. If you are with me, the stones where we walk know us. They shine in our presence like mountain redwoods after a spring rain, like the glowing green of grass, returning every year. That was Allegra Silverstein's poem, Love Song. So, our next honorable mention is Cynthia Patton's poem, Even in Silence.
Am I unmuted?
You are. We're ready to hear you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This is a kind of a thrill. Even in silence. If I hadn't relocated to this land without guidebook or map, would not have seen the way words swim in shadowed alpine pools, how intelligence boils beneath silent surface, would never know the way your face lights with fierce flame when supplied with the phrase your tangled tongue cannot produce, or how you sign, I love you, touching 3 fingers to mine like a kiss. You taught it doesn't take speech to communicate. Even in silence, there is brilliance. Taste the bitter struggle to control uncontrollable body. Muster whatever shreds of tattered courage remain. Your finger taps at vacant letters, pinpoints of light leading us home. The words pile up, stone by heavy stone, building a bridge to a life you deserve, building a bridge to a life you have earned.
And we're ready now for our next
Thank you, everyone.
mention. Thank you so much.
Hi, I think you asked me to read this. Is that right?
No, okay, let's back up a minute. I think we need the next slide.
Oh, that's me. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm not, yes, okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. What a surprise. Okay. Falling. It's like that, gravity. It keeps you in your place, won't let you lose control. I broke free of gravity when I was with you, except for the falling part. That stayed the same. The dream falling feeling you won't reach bottom. The stomach flip feeling that shocks you awake. Then you take it for granted again, gravity. Your head won't hit the ceiling when you get out of bed. You won't fall up into the sky when you step out the door. That's what it was like with you, falling up into the sky. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Valerie. And now our next honorable mention That is Shaving My Father by Ed Bearden. There you
Hello,
are. Ed.
everybody. Thank you very much. Shaving my father. I start on the left side of his face. The left side because I am right-handed. Right-handed, I suppose, because he is right-handed. Swabbing the leather is easy. Easy because it comes in a can. Easy as I add it to his cheeks and chin. Easy as I am reminded of all the times he made it fresh and hot. This only has the color white to mark the similarity, but in a moment it covers his whiskers and, like the short stubble of new mode alfalfa, disappears in snow. I pull the razor along his cheek, splash water as I rinse the razor, and he is teaching me to work, how to drive a tractor, know when to stop the flow of water before it escapes, floods the neighbor next door. I begin on the other side, for he has turned the other cheek, turned his face, making it easy to reach with the razor. The way he always showed me the easy way to do a thing, how to lift a box with my legs, how to mix paint or spray for killing pests like aphids or thrip. His lips are easy, just short, straight strokes over and over as his mouth becomes his mouth again. Not like that time in 1949, the California Centennial, when all the men wore beards, their heads covered with cowboy hats, had their pictures taken with horses. I close my hand on the razor and he's showing me how to make a fist. If needed, he said. Then it comes in a rush. How to clean a fish you have caught yourself. How to dress a pheasant you have killed. How to prepare green olives in a lye bath. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope that each of you poets who are reading your honorable mention poems are able to look at the chat later on. Wonderful comments. I echo them all. We'll go on to our next honorable mention now. And this is Snowy by Cecile Earle. And I don't believe that Cecile is here. Assuming that is the case, Rosalie Petruski will read this poem for her.
Snowy. Snowflakes, snowy day, snow in droplets drifting, like your name lingering between us as I whisper snowy, curled against my pillow on the white eiderdown, like a wind-sculpted drift against the barn, or a drifted dune in the tropical sand of Sayulita, or a swirl blowing across the beaches of the great northern Pacific. My fingers plunge in, twirl the warm, white, damp, curling hair as you drift in dreaming with a yelp, a shudder, a sigh before surrender, one twitch still. I whisper again your name, Snowy. Press my palm on your ear, linger, squeeze, twirl its dangle around my finger. I bend down, lean in, whisper, my breath caressing your name, rolling wet on my tongue, droplets drifting snowy flakes as you quiver under my sliding palm down your spine, your tuning fork to a deep guttural exhalation. When I whisper your name lingering between us in droplets drifting, your brown eyes turn, float up out of your curling against my pillow. And your big wet black nose quivers, catching air, the world before it nuzzles its furry breath, drifting into my heart. I whisper, I love you, as your wide eyes glance up to mine, lids drifting halfway down. You lean in, yawn, tongue hangs, smiling and panting, that carried us floating down years disappearing, leaving only your chewy bone carcasses and clumpy white hairy toys under the bed. Snowflakes, snowy day, snow in droplets drifting, like your name lingering between us as I whisper, snowy, where nothing now is curled against my pillow on the white eiderdown. Only your bouncing shadow trails me over the hills, down the beaches, that when I turn to speak, isn't there.
Thank you for reading that. So, Becky, will you go ahead and announce the next award winners?
Oh, certainly. And that is A Spotted Dog by Charlie McCauley.
I don't know if you can hear me yet, but thank you all very much. And my eyes have been failing me, so Janet's going to read my poem for you, but thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, A Spotted Dog. Wearing a skull cap and fingerless gloves, everything the worn out man owned was stuffed in a Safeway shopping cart, except a short-haired, ragged dog on a long leash tied to a thin, leafless tree. As the man limped into Starbucks, the dog sat on haunches staring at the door, with an occasional awkward glance towards me as I sat alone at an outdoor table sipping an iced green tea. The shaggy old man returned with a paper cup full of water, then struggled back to hustle coffee while the dog slurped, then sat back on his haunches to stare at the door. His master returned with a short coffee, sat at the next table, bent over with a grunt to kiss the dog curled next to his leg, already asleep, safe as tomorrow.
Thank you.
Would you like me to continue announcing for a
Yeah,
bit?
why don't you do that?
So the next honorable mention is The Cellist and the Nightingale by Deborah Bockles Schmidt.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's a wonderful contest. Thank you to Mary Susan and the judges. The Cellist and the Nightingale. This is based on a true event that happened, or a series of events, with Beatrice Harrison, the cellist. The first time it happened was 1923. One May evening at foil riding, she brought her cello into the garden. The air was balmy on her moist skin, and the mossy stone bench still held the last of the day's heat. This was the season when nightingales returned to the English woods, but none had been heard here for years. As she began the chant andou, spinning its soulful chromatic lines into the twilight, another song rose from the silvered shadows, the song of a lone nightingale. Pausing between flurries, the unseen bird seems to listen and then respond, releasing coloratura trills, whistles, and warbles, often matching her pitch and sometimes gravitating to harmony. A creature so wild and free would die if he were caged, flying again and again against the bars, compelled to answer the bone-deep call of migration. Yet He seemed drawn to the gentle discipline of her music, the scaffolding of phrasing and tonality, pushing and playing against it like Bach's right hand, a descant to her cantus, or a jazz flutist riffing over her dusky melody, while she moved beyond all consciousness of her long, rigorous training, beyond the voices of mentors and critics, becoming, with the nightingale, what she had always yearned to be, another singer in the garden.
Mm.
And our next honorable mention is The Picture by Ed Bearden.
Hello again. The picture. She keeps his picture on her desk. It's the two of them, each looking spiffy, he with a bow tie, the only picture ever taken with a bow tie. He had played waiter at a church function she supported. It made her proud and knew it was for her he played waiter, not for Christ, not for the church tea. She could tell you exactly when the picture was taken, but it's been a while, and she doesn't like to remember it that way. Prefers to think of it as just yesterday. Him doing whatever it was she asked. Thank you.
The next honorable mention is Afterglow by Charlie McCauley.
Oh, thank you again. And my eyes still are failing me, so Janet's going to read my poem. Thank you.
Afterglow. All the laws are broken. We mingle our fragrances, meet between our secrets like lovers coming on. The miracle slowly cools, flesh trembles. A thin sliver of moon lights your naked body on the savaged bed. You know now how to call the darkness, how to shade our secret desires. The prayers and pledges have all been said. I am lost as my eyelids sink into your hair. There is nothing behind us but melting stars and an eager sun on the rise.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, these are magnificent poems. Thank you all. We're moving now into the third prize, second prize, first prize categories, and announcing the winner of the third prize, which is Moon Pull Tide by
Wow.
Valerie Sofer.
I'm shocked. I didn't even pull it. Oh, here it is. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Moon Pull Tide. I have no words to tell you. The poets stole them all. The songwriters hid them in cracks of three-part harmonies. I tried other languages, but they have poets too. So I am left with this. There is air and water and the moon pull tide of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we will go now to the second prize poem.
There we go. Second prize, Our Love is a Volcano by Mia Ruiz. And I believe that's going to be read by Mary Susan.
Unless Mia has materialized. Okay. Mia was very sad that she could not be here. She had signed up for the open mic, and of course, she did not know that she would also be an award-winning poet this afternoon. So I will be reading this for her, and because I'm not the author, I want to clarify before we even start that there are three characters in this poem. You and I are the lovers. You and me, those are the references. And then the other character is the earth, and the earth is referred to as she. So, our love is a volcano. Nuestro amor es un volcán. Every night we lie together, I am starlight cascading across your moon rose landscape. Tu cuerpo, querida, your body beloved, the soft rise as you welcome me into your dream. I become human in your arms, a woman of long and graying hair, skin el color de la tierra misma, the color of earth herself, marked by the sun, her passions, the heat between our limbs. The rivers where we both began, Las Amazonas, the Mississippi, converged within her vena cava, her heartbeat between us, the stuff of volcanoes. We have survived the dizzying sweat and swelter, the tears frozen on our faces as our hands turned earth and stone to hold one another before el fuego, the fire that has already consumed us. She scars her innermost caverns con nuestros nombres, with our names. So her tectonic walls of basalt, igneous rock, obsidian know to call us. Another wonderful poem. And then to announce the winner of our first prize, Dreaming in the Time of Pandemic by Johanna Ely. It is always a surprise.
Oh, I can't believe this. I don't know if I can read it.
That's okay, take your time.
I can't believe this. Oh, okay, thank you. I think I'm gonna cry.
That's okay.
Okay, here we go. Dreaming in the time of the pandemic. In my dreams, I've stopped searching for a refuge to protect me from death. Stopped trying to find an abandoned house laced with memories of wisteria, or a dark cave illuminated by candlelight. My silent poems written only for the petroglyphs. Now I dream with my eyes wide open, memorize the shape of every tree, the scent of roses bursting open in the heat of spring, the way the sunlight warms my body as I sit alone facing west. In my dreams, we hold up our hands and mirror each other, place palms and fingers together, promise we'll never stop touching.
Thank you. I'm just blown away. I can't believe it. Thank you.
Thank you for all of these wonderful poems. It is just incredible. And we will have all of the honorable mention and the first, second, and third prize winning poems posted on the library website as soon as we can get to that. They will be there so you can read them and savor them through that sense. And now we move on to more love poetry. And as we begin this section, I really feel moved, as I was last year, to go back to a poem from the poet laureate who started this whole process, Joel Fallon. He wrote a love poem that has stuck with me since I first read it, probably in 2002, as one of the best poems of love that I could imagine. So I'm going to read this poem by Joel Fallon. Perhaps then, when all the bowls have cracked and silver has been polished to a memory, and light has traveled twice to earth from far Antares, when fearful weapons' half-lives have expired and tanks and guns in rusty mounds lie useless, when bodies, every molecule, has been sloughed off like snakeskin, leaving only fingerprints unchanged. Perhaps then, unlikely as it seems, I may start to love you less. That's from Joel Fallon, whose spirit is always with us.
So, that was a great session, and I'm kind of trying to wrap my mind around all those wonderful poems. Now, the three judges each get a chance to read us one of their love poems. And I'd like to call first upon Rosalie Petruski.
Right on mute. Thank you so much. This was a great honor to do this for a second time. So the poem I'm going to read to you, I hope I didn't read it last year, but it's about my father. It's to my father, and it's called True North. In the woods, my father never needed a compass. He told time by the sun's position. When shadows grew long and slanted, he still knew the way to turn so we could find home. We walked for miles, changed paths, north, south, east, and west, through golden tamaracks in autumn, beneath old growth hemlocks, white pines, and birches in summer. If nightfall caught up to us, Father took my hand, admonished me to watch for roots, burrows tunneled into earth by badgers, woodchucks, or foxes. At dusk, the eastern screech owl's eerie trill filled our ears as it swooped down from its perch to devour a shrew or bat. If you think you are lost, Father told me, travel downhill, search for water, read the night sky, and he pointed at Polaris, perched at the tip of the Little Dipper's handle. In daylight, he taught me why trees have more leaves on one side. To find true north, he said, place a stick straight up in the ground, mark where the stick's shadow lands with a rock. But he was my true north. Astride his shoulders, when I grew tired, I became taller than his 6-foot frame. His hands were the needle of my compass, his voice my straight-edged arrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was lovely. Next, I'd like to call on Patricia Thrushart to read her love poem to us.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations to everyone, not just the winners, but everyone who entered the contest. As was said at the beginning, it was a very, very challenging effort to get to, the honorable mentions and first and second and third place winners. And I just feel so grateful to be immersed in poetry like this. Also, congratulations to Becky and Mary Susan. They do such a beautiful job running this contest. And so it's a joy to be back. I participate in a group of poets that do Renchi poems. I don't know if you've heard that, but Renchi is a process where each new poet the poet next in line has to use the last line from the poet before. And so this is one of the Renchi poems that I wrote recently. My line was, "You utterly unnecessary." You utterly unnecessary to the beetle that tears leaves into a terrible lace. The cricket that sings in the sweet grass. The way the light is low and gold, slanting through twig and leaf, gilding the ancient stump that grew long before you were born. Becoming a hue like the hide of a heart, its woody heart, long rotted by time and rain. Ferns rise from it, fungus is born, fruiting after storms come driving through, sweeping the air clean. You, utterly unnecessary, could walk at night under the arch of oaks and let the frogs sing of love, because it had rained, because it had warmed, because it was their time. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for introducing me to a new form of poetry. That's wonderful. Amos White, Judge Amos White, do you have a poem for us? A love poem, that is.
I do. I have a string of haiku. These are called Poems of Desire. Hardwood fills night air. Taxi turns another trick, walking to your bed. Flaxen, becoming nightfall. Stretching our skins, the knot pulls my leg. Independence Day. Within her eyes, fireflies jetting from a stick. Break in the storm, my love without a raincoat. Between thunder claps. Rising and falling, our love unleavened. God's eye. My skull slips through the hands of time. This shimmering night, only mosquitoes to touch our glowing shadows. Neither blood nor air could stave off the hollow throb of where my heart last beat. Sound of spring raindrops falls metered and unmetered, the blush of their lips. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who submitted. It was really a joy to read your work. It was painful to select these. They were all, each and every one of them, marvelous to read. So thank you for the honor.
Marvelous. Thank you so much, Amos. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your being here as judge. And it's been making the whole experience a joy for me anyway. And I think for many of us, maybe all of us, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right. Well, we are going to move now to take a break. It has come to my attention that a number of people might appreciate a 5-minute interlude here. So we're going to take a break for 5 minutes and we'll stop recording and we'll come back at